Joining us right now is the former commander of the USS Cole, Kirk S. Lippold. Commander Lippold, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Maria.
Your thoughts on the U.S. testing this missile amid North Korea tensions?
I think it's a great test. It's wonderful that it is successfully done. But the big problem that we still face is the fact that we still only have done 5 for 8. So when you look at percentages, if you're looking at a nuclear warhead coming to the United States, we need to up that, which means more tests, which means more expense. But nonetheless, it is a great milestone and an achievement for the U.S. to do that.
But what should we be looking at in terms of progress here? I mean, we know that North Korea keeps firing these missiles. What should the U.S. be doing? And how do we know if, in fact, we are actually reining them in at all?
The biggest thing we need to do right now is, while North Korea represents a threat, we have to look at the work that is going on between Iran and North Korea in both the ballistic missile and nuclear technology arena. But more importantly, we need to focus a lot more effort on China. We need to start having the Chinese really help to solve this so that we can denuclearize the Korean Peninsula. They are the key to making sure that North Korea, in fact, steps back from this brink.
Commander, it's Dagan McDowell, but have you seen any evidence that China is going to step up in that way and do that very thing?
Yes, very slowly the Chinese are beginning to tighten down on North Korea. Gas prices are going up in North Korea. The Chinese are beginning to limit some of the connections financially and economically to the North Korean people. That's what we really need to see, because that's the only way that government is going to be held accountable. Right now, we haven't seen anything otherwise, and that's where the key is going to lie. China has to be the one that is going to apply pressure, because they're the ones that maintain the industrial, the financial, and the economic links to keep that country afloat.
Good morning. It's Guy Benson. One question that I heard from some people yesterday after this test was announced and then the successful outcome also was broadcast was, why would the U.S. make this public ahead of time? What's the public relations strategy here? I have a few theories, but what do you think?
I think obviously the United States wants to send a signal both to the North Koreans and to the Chinese that we are developing a capability to defend us, to build that bubble over us. Clearly, when you look at the limited number of missiles that we have available both up in Alaska and down in California, they are not going to shoot down every missile that could possibly get shot at the United States. However, it is going to serve as an effective deterrent in the initial stages should North Korea decide to launch an attack on the U.S. That's what we need to make sure. You can shoot, but we're going to be able to not only defend, but will give us the time then to react and respond back to them.
Hey, Commander, it's Kevin Kelly here. Has sanctions completely lost their efficacy? I mean, we've seen previous administrations talk about sanctions, sanctions, sanctions. We've tried to push China on imposing more sanctions. Is that just off the table now? We figured out that it's just not going to work when it comes to this regime?
I think it's going to work. I think the presidency clearly recognizes that the threat that North Korea represents to destabilizing the region and the world. They realize that the United States is not going to be threatened with nuclear weapons any more than Israel is going to be threatened by Iran. And so at some point, the last thing he wants is a devastating war on the Korean Peninsula, because first and foremost, they're the ones that are going to live with the consequences of it. They understand the problem that is going to be created. If it were to go nuclear, they're going to get the fallout. When you look at the number of refugees that would come across their borders, clearly a destabilizer in the region. So it truly is in their best interest to get this problem solved sooner rather than later.
Well, Commander, let me turn your attention to Russia for a second. Russia stepping up its fight against ISIS this morning, launching a strike on Islamic State targets in Syria. Now, a Russian warship and a submarine in the Mediterranean Sea fired cruise missiles at Islamic State targets near the town of Palmyra. Commander, what is Russia's role in the fight against ISIS? Do we believe that they are actually stepping up in this fight?
I think they're stepping up, but I think there's a secondary agenda that's almost more important, Maria, and that's the fact that when Russia's doing this, let's face it, the United States has years, if not decades, of experience with cruise missiles and how to operationally employ them and use them with their techniques, and procedures. Russia is now gaining that same operational experience. The more they get an opportunity to shoot, if it's against ISIS, they're getting a twofer. They're killing terrorists and at the same time gaining operational experience with a very capable weapons system that has both a conventional and a nuclear warhead capability.
So we should be happy about this.
I think we should be happy that they're killing terrorists, but giving the Russians an opportunity to continue to exercise their missiles obviously has unintended consequences that we need to keep an eye on.
Commander, one of the issues that we saw is that, they've backed a Syrian regime that has continuously used chemical weapons. I mean, is there going to come to a point where the U.S. can no longer tolerate Russians' influence in Syria?
I think what we're going to do is have to work with the Russians to be able to make sure that Assad does not use chemical weapons again. We clearly sent a signal when we fired the Tomahawk missiles into the base where those chemical attacks were launched from. Working with the Russians, they understand that that is a red line that is not going to be tolerated and that we're going to hold to that red line. And I think that's very important because the world needs to understand use of chemical weapons cannot be tolerated.
Commander, let me switch gears. You joined the thousands of bikers at Rolling Thunder on Sunday to honor our nation's heroes for Memorial Day. You met another rider, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson. What an experience. Tell us about it.
Well, it was absolutely, when you look at what Rolling Thunder does, it's truly an organization whose primary mission is to make sure the nation never forgets, the prisoners of war and the missing in action from all the wars that the United States has been involved in. We want to make sure that we bring those people home. Participating in Rolling Thunder for me, 17 years of doing it, ever since I got the motorcycle that I ordered right before the attack on USS Cole, getting to meet Secretary of State Tillerson and having people like that involved truly shows that we have a connection with the American people and with this administration for that issue of the POW MIAs.
Commander,
absolutely
what do you
wonderful
ride?
experience.
Commander, it's Dagan. What do you ride?
I ride a Wide Glide, Harley-Davidson 2001 Wide Glide, custom colors, maroon and gray with gold trim.
Thank you, sir. Made in America. Made in America.
Pretty cool stuff.
Absolutely. Made in America and a great product.
Commander, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria.
Commander Kirk S. Lippold joining us there.